Welcome back to the Cetera Podcast. I'm Victor. This is my co-host Mark. We're both wearing hats. How you feeling, Mark?
I'm feeling good, feeling good. I'm feeling way better from what I have been last week
All
and a
right,
half,
because you were
just like
sicky poo.
shit.
You
Yeah.
always start to appreciate life more when you used to be sick and you get out of it. You're like, oh
Yeah.
man, breathing.
Right,
Holy
exactly.
shit,
Breathing, I can, breathe through my nose. I can smell things a little bit
fine
more,
dining and
Yeah.
breathing.
Taste is probably a little bit better. I don't know, but yeah, I'm feeling way better than before. And you feel like a whole new person. Once you start to feel like, oh wait, I'm like, wow, I didn't have any complications breathing in, or wow, I haven't been coughing recently. You're just like, wait, I think it's happening.
I feel better.
I think
I
I'm
feel
starting to feel better.
strong.
Yeah. So yeah, been chilling. How have you been?
I've been good. I've been living life. Haven't been,
Nice.
I knock on wood, haven't been getting sicky poo.
Yeah.
Um, I'm grateful for that. But now I probably just fucked myself over, and you're gonna see me next week just like hey, looking like I have the suds.
Just
But what's new? What you been up to in the past week or so?
what have I been? Not much really. Oh well, this weekend I did actually went to. Oh, I saw like a word on
I
the.
said portrait. You
Uh,
scared the shit out of me.
I thought it said pause, so I was
Yeah.
like, wait, oh shit. So yeah, this weekend actually, I ended up going to see Trevor Noah at the Wells Fargo,
Okay.
and that was a huh.
How'd that end up being a thing?
Well, my mom actually really loves him. Like she like I forget what was the first comedy thing. I think she was the one who first like saw it, and then we ended up watching it with her. And it was like a comedy stand up he did at one point, and we were just like, wow, like he's like really funny, and we just like can't believe like he's funny. And then he's also like it's cool because he's like from Africa, and then he's like the fact that he like has so many different stories of just like how he's growing up and how he's like learned and seen things and how he's like came to America and just discovered like new ways of just like how we do things. It was just cool. So it was about like maybe like beginning of this month or maybe not beginning. It was like kind of like middle of last month actually. She had told me and my brother that she like heard that he was coming to Philly to do part of his tour that he's on. And I was like, oh shit. So eventually she's like, oh yeah, we should go. And so we kind of set that up and yeah, we ended up going. And I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty funny. Like it's really pretty funny. At first I wasn't exactly sure. Um not really that it wasn't gonna be funny, but like if it was gonna be like a long kind of thing or not, because usually when you see those things like on Netflix or anything, they're about like an hour maybe,
Yeah,
and
and they
it's
cut it
just
down.
over.
Yeah.
So I was expecting that because it started at 7:30, so I'm like, maybe like 8:30, maybe like 9. I feel like it was gonna be like till 9:30, probably the latest. It ended at 10, really, like 10, almost 10:30. So it was pretty
And it was
crazy.
just him the whole time,
No,
or
so yeah, so it was actually 2 other people that he had like
yeah,
come up, and they
openers.
went for like I want to say at most they were on for like 20 to maybe 25 minutes. It wasn't 30 because if I think about it, it was like there was no way it was able to be 30 how long he went with them. So I want to say like maybe like 20 minutes at most. And I don't remember exactly the two guys that came up. The first guy, he was a white older guy, he was bald. He was pretty funny. He was actually like really funny. The second guy, he was a more younger guy. He was black. He had like husky ass afro. I was like, wow. Um, and yeah, he was more younger guy, and he was all right. And I feel like the only reason why he was all right is because he was young and he just didn't have as much, I guess, like experience. And I feel like a lot of when it comes to comedy is that you have to be able to experience and relate a lot of shit
Mm-hmm.
because if you can't, then a lot of people are just like, what the
It's
hell?
the crowd. So
Yeah,
if he's
exactly.
in a crowd of people his age, he'll probably kill it.
Oh yeah. And that's the thing. He was probably maybe late 20s, if anything. So I was like sitting there and I was like understanding some of the things he was like talking about. He was like, a lot of the times, the majority of the storyline and jokes that were happening was just stuff based off of like COVID and just like, oh, like it was, can we believe we're all here? Like just a year ago, we were all inside and all that. So it kind of based off of stuff like that. And then little here and there with certain things. But that was kind of like the most like main thing. But besides that, it was pretty good for what he was you know, talking about. But the first guy was really funny. And then Trevor Noah was just, doing his thing and just, kind of going back and forth with everything. He had one joke about just being on a plane. And I'm like in my head, I'm like, I don't know what it is, but something about plane jokes and airport jokes just get me all the time. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, he just was having me dead. And he was talking about how there was at one point he he was I forget where he said he was going to. It was a flight he had. I forget where he said he was going to. And he basically was saying how they had messed up his like seating or whatever, and he was going to be like in business class or whatever, but then he ended up saying that they ended up calling him on the like husky ass intercom, telling him to go up to the front, and they were like, "Oh yeah, sorry, but we accidentally, there's been an issue and your seat has been no longer been available." And he was like, so how does that happen? How does he was like he was like basically just saying like it just it's gone. And he was like, well, how does that even happen? He's like, oh well, there's just sometimes some complications where things just happen, and yeah, unfortunately it's just not available, but we're gonna try to go and make sure we find something
So he's just
else.
not getting on the flight,
That's
like,
basically, and
yeah, like
that's why he was like so confused. Like he was like, so what do I do? And he was like, well, we're gonna be able to go and try to find your seat, find another seat for you. So it's basically gonna be in coach. So that he ended up being in coach. And he was saying that he has no problem at all with being in coach or anything like that, or being in business, whatever that has. He said it's never been a problem. He was like, I'm from Africa. He was like, I have no issue with stuff like this. Like this isn't the worst thing that's ever happened to me, being in coach. So he was like perfectly fine with it. But the main part of the joke was he ended up getting a middle seat. And he was just like, the middle seat's probably one of the worst seats ever, especially because it's like if it's random people, it's just you got the person in the window, and then you got the person on the other edge in the freaking aisle lane. And his main thing was just the idea of like when you're in the middle, it's brutal out there because he was like, you're always fighting for those armrests. So he was just basically saying like the whole time when it starts, he's just
trying to
plotting on it.
establish his
So
ground.
he's like, at first, how it starts off is he was saying, no matter what, the window seat is always the first one to mess up and then lose. So he was like saying, like, as soon as you know you're a little bit into the flight, as soon as they go for that window, what's it
And they
called?
reach the little
The
blind.
the blind, once they go for the window blind, pull it down, that's where they mess up. And he was like, as soon as he went there, you just like, oh, they just held it down. He was like, and he was like, the one thing he said he does is once he does that, he just makes sure it's like he doesn't even look at them. He just does it untouched, just like, and then he's like in the corner of his eye though, he can notice that the person when they go and like turn back around and see, you're just like they have like he was like it's always they have this like monologue to themselves like they're just like, did he really did he just do that? And he's just like sitting there just holding his ground like and then he was saying like then after that it's the aisle lane. They always mess up once the flight attendants come through with the food. So as soon as he said it, once his person came and he was just like, oh yeah, would you like some peanut? He's like, oh yeah, I think I think he's like, oh. Just took the second one. He was just sitting there like that. And, like it was just so funny because then he just then he's like basically saying how the flight attendant would just come through and she's like asking him like, oh yeah, would you like any food? He's like, yep, if you can put it right there on the tray in front of me, you can put it right there, but I'm not gonna go and grab it. You can put it right there. I was dying, bro. That was like probably the funniest joke I heard. Like, I was literally crying. Oh man. But yeah, then he was just talking about other shit too, as far as traveling and everything. And then he ended up bringing up another point. It was like his last bit, kind of, and he was talking about actually like women and their whole, I guess, like with the menstrual cycle and everything like that, because he ended up having a UTI, and it's not like obviously the same,
No.
but he was just explaining how like the fact that something like that happen like can happen to a guy too, and that shit is just like pain. Like he said, it was like so fucking painful and everything like that. And he was like, I can't believe you women go through something like this, like literally like at least every month. And I was just funny, like every woman in there was just clapping, cheering, and I was just like, damn. So yeah, he was just kind of like explaining things as far as like a pad and then the tampon, and all the women were just cheering, laughing, and going along with it because it's like true, like the fact that like most guys don't like we don't even, I guess, in a sense, pay attention or care about those things because it's not we don't ever have to like really deal with it. It's just kind of like we're our own person, and the women just kind of handle it, and that's it. But he was just saying the idea of the idea of that being so painful, and how it's like crazy to think that you woman can't even like take off of work because of it.
Mm.
It's like anything. And then he was basically saying how like with guys, it was like, oh, if guys had this stuff, oh, there'd be no question about it. You'd be time off, paid off, you could do what you want. And then like, that shit was so funny. But yeah. that was like really the gist of that show, really, and it was really fun.
Sounds like it was a good time.
It was.
Okay,
It
that's good.
was. It
Yeah,
was.
I've never. I don't think I haven't been to like a comedy show yet. I really want to though, but like I haven't seen anybody. That I'm like, oh shit, since like Dave Chappelle was at the Met, and that was
Yeah,
that was like pre-COVID. Like that was like right
right
like
before.
February of like
Yeah,
that.
that's literally like right before it really started. It's
So
crazy.
ever since then, I haven't really seen anything yet. Mostly concerts, but I still want to go at one point.
Yeah, I went to it was like more of like a nightclub thing when I went on what is it? A cruise. When I went on the cruise, that the one I went on, they had like a little spot in there where it was like they had this little like club kind of esque thing where they had somebody come up and do stand up and everything. And that was pretty cool too. He was funny.
How does that work? Is that like people who hopped on the cruise, or is that they have like a
No,
guy
they have a guy who's like basically a part of the whole thing and whatnot.
entertainment?
Yeah, so he ended up doing it and whatnot, and he was really good too. I remember when I went, and yeah, he was just kind of like busting on the crowd too. Like if anybody said or like laughed too much, then he's just like, hey, yeah. And I was like, damn. So yeah, they're really fun, honestly.
That's what's up. I gotta go to one though. I gotta actually actively look for one to see if I can find one that I feel
Hmm.
like is worth going to. And it was at like where was that, like the Wells Fargo?
Yeah, that was at the Wells Fargo. Can't remember exactly how much the tickets were, if I'm being honest.
Doesn't matter.
We were like on the side, so it wasn't that much. My mom was saying like for the front, kind of like middle, she was saying like it was like 300 for just like one of those
For
seats
like
down
floor
there.
seats
Yeah, for
type
floor
shit.
seats, like 250, 300. And I'm like, damn.
Yeah, I mean he be on the Daily Show. He
Yeah,
out here. He got books and shit.
true.
He from South Africa.
He does his thing. Does his thing.
Yeah, a lot of people don't like him though.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't see why.
People just be beefing with him, but I don't pay enough attention. I know who he is. I just don't watch his show frequently enough or anything. I don't know if he said anything like offensive or some shit.
But that's like every comedian because,
Yeah.
every comedian has their thing where it's like, again, you're trying to be as realistic as you can. And realistically speaking, there's just certain things that you notice in your life that either races
Hmm.
do or the certain majority either is like male or female do, and you're just kind of talking about it. And then
Yeah.
it's just those people that just take it the wrong way, and it's
Hmm.
just like, bro, it's always those one or two people, and then when you
Especially nowadays, like
yeah, and then you put it on the internet, and then it's like, damn,
even worse. Or people take just a tidbit of a
yeah,
whole thing where it just makes it seem that way. But I don't know. As long as somebody goes after everybody, I don't really give a fuck.
yeah,
It's like recently, like, I don't know. I haven't watched it, but I don't know if you have. Dave Chappelle dropped his like he had a new special on Netflix,
yeah. I ended up actually watching it like recently.
and yeah, so like people were coming at him for it, but like also at the same time, people were like, "Yo, you obviously didn't watch the whole thing if you're like offended by what he said in there because
Mhm.
I don't know, like he's said in the past, and he's consistently like talked about the LGBTQ like plus community and how
Yeah,
they like dislike him what he says, and then some people there have also been people in that community who like fuck with him. So you just kind of like I'm gonna keep saying my jokes because I've talked about myself and everybody else under the sun. So if you're gonna be an asshole,
yeah.
like I don't really care. Like I'm gonna keep telling my jokes.
Yeah, and he even said that. He was like, "Yo, like, I'm not coming at anybody. I'm just being real with you. Like,
Hmm.
I'm just being literally real of like what I've been through, what I've seen, And a lot of times those people that get offended, they didn't even have those people sometimes probably didn't even go through anything serious as much as he did. They're just saying it because they just feel like they're a part of that community. So it's like, oh, I want to defend it. And it's
Yeah.
just like, bro, like hear him out first before you
Hmm.
just start judging, and try to understand. But
There was some like I watched like the first like 10 minutes. I was like, there was some jokes that it was just like it wasn't even a joke. He was just like going for shock
no, in the
value.
beginning, yeah, in the beginning of it, it was very just he was still kind of just looking at the crowd, just kind of
How
talking
far
about
can I go? Like
yeah, just going
feeling it
this
out.
yeah,
I'm like, all right, some of these jokes not hitting for me right now,
yeah.
but
Don't worry. It got definitely a little bit better towards like the middle and the end. It was like, okay.
but then he started talking about the baby and stuff like that, and I was just like,
Yeah.
he's like the baby shot a man in Walmart,
Oh
and
yeah.
then nothing happened to
Nothing
him.
happened to
Then he said one comment
him.
about the LGBTQ plus community, or like it was about more, I guess, like AIDS as well. And
Mhm.
he was just like, and look at where he's at now.
Yeah, right. Look,
He's like, just learn. You could say so. You could kill a man, but you better not offend the LGBTQ plus
true.
community.
Yep.
And he talked about COVID, how he had it and shit.
Mhm.
And that joke killed me. He was talking about the Johnson and Johnson vaccine.
Oh, yeah,
He
yeah,
was like,
yeah.
he was like, I'm vaccinated. I got the Johnson and Johnson. He's, I'm not gonna lie, that's probably
That's probably
the,
yeah.
he's like, it's probably the most like I don't know, like what he said, like the most ratchet thing or like the most like
Yeah.
good thing he could do
Yeah, basically, compared to, like, the yeah, that
to
was
think instead of getting like Pfizer or what was the other one?
Moderna, right?
Moderna or whatever. That shit had me crying. But I gotta watch the rest of it. But people were still butthurt, and obviously, it seems like they just watched the clip and just ran with an idea. And because he's said worse before,
Oh,
he
yeah.
said about himself, he said about R. Kelly, the president, white, black, Asian. His whole show was like off of caricatures of different people. Like,
Mhm.
so I don't know. He's even talking like he's cheated on his wife. He's talking about that shit, like a bunch of shit.
Yeah.
So
What
like as soon as it's time to like be offended by your shit, you want to cry. Like I don't like that. Like
Mhm.
if you're at those shows and you laugh about a
That's
white
what I'm
joke,
saying.
and then as soon as you hear an Asian joke, you're like, oh, what the like,
Yeah, that's
fuck
what
you,
I'm
shut up.
saying, like,
You only care
a
about
lot
your
of
own
the times,
agenda.
I can't ever think or like, come to think that somebody would go to a show like that and go because they're either trying to look for something as far as, like, "Oh, he said this," like or it's like, "Bro, like, if you're here, you most likely understand who this person is and understand how the
Yeah. Also,
jokes are
you
gonna."
paid for you've watched his material
Exactly.
before. He hasn't
Exactly.
changed.
Exactly. You've paid and you've understood and seen where he goes, where his jokes and how he talks about stuff. You shouldn't be getting offended at any
If
certain
anything,
point.
he's less offensive now than he used to
Oh
be
yeah,
back
and
then.
that's everybody now because of everything just kind of how everything's being. Everyone's being a little bit more careful. Back then, it was just like fuck it, we just say whatever we
Yeah.
want.
That is some real hater ass shit. Imagine like, because I'm assuming if you paid tickets to go there, you're obviously a fan, right? Or
Mhm,
somebody told you to come along. So you know his material, you've laughed at his material, like I enjoy him. Let me go support and watch his show live. So that's usually the case. If there are people who are like, yo, I don't like him, I'm gonna go pay money to go see him and heckle or like be offended or talk shit. That's some hater ass shit, yo.
exactly.
Like
I
you
mean,
could
it's
have did
money
that
in
from
his
the
pocket.
house. That's why I was like, yo, like that's so weird to me.
Yeah,
Like, what do you think you're doing?
I don't know. There's people like that though.
And with Dave's the type of person like he's done in the past where like obviously he does his tours, but he'll be like, and even before he came back where he was like doing stand up full time, he would just pull up to like a small ass comedy club and be like, all right, I'm performing tonight. He'll tweet it out and people pull up. So like you
Mhm,
could literally see a show of his for free.
true.
For you to be out here and be like, I'm gonna pay money, go to his show, be offended, go home, write a blog, and try to get him canceled for the 100th fucking time. Like
Yeah.
I don't know how many times like you're gonna try and do this. He's still here.
Yeah. It's just no point. Like there's just a certain line where it's like you gotta understand it's comedy. Like it's literally he's
Yeah.
trying to just be funny. I mean, yeah, for sure, 100% you should watch what you say. There's certain things you can really be offended with, but a lot of times he's just saying it so because he's just, like trying to get a story out so you guys can understand some like a certain
And a
point
lot
of
of
view.
and a lot of times there's a lesson in his jokes.
Oh yeah.
Like there's a deeper reasoning why he would say the shit he says. Like he even talked about that, and it was just like at one point I don't know if it was this special or a previous one. He's like he just said this is not I don't know. He was like, you know what my problem is with the LGBTQ plus community, and then the crowd was kind of like, oh, what is he gonna say? And he was just like, it upsets him when members of the LGBTQ plus community, like more specific, like white LGBTQ plus, are a part of the community until it's time to be offended or something like that. He was talking about how he ran into, I think, a trans person in the street, and it was a white person,
Mhm.
and how they immediately like called the cops on him for saying something, and he was just like, it's funny how like you're a minority, but as soon as it's time to play victim, you're not a trans person anymore. You're a white person. You call the cops on another
Yeah.
minority. Like he's like that pisses me off
Mhm.
because you're supposed to be a part of our shit too, and you
Exactly.
just used your whiteness against me.
Mhm. Yeah. It's literally just goes to show you, just how people can be.
Yeah, I don't want to say it, but you know what I'm thinking. Moving on. But yeah, that's dope. See, I'm gonna try and make note to like go to a show. I remember one time I'm kind of sick that I ain't take advantage of this. When I was at like in Temple, I forgot what it was, but they were like this thing. They're like, hey, like give me like if you pay like $5. It was legit. I had the tickets in there. I probably still have it, but it expired. Or it might expire like this year. It's like pay $5 and this is like for like a New York comedy club thing, and you can go and like go any night you want. You can
Oh
go and
wow.
like see a show there, and like sometimes like Kevin Hart or like Chris Rock or whatever pull up there, just depending on if you're lucky or not. So like I have that. I don't know if it expires this year or it expired last year,
Mm.
but I'm kind of sick about it.
Yeah, definitely take advantage if it didn't. 'Cause, yeah, that'd be nice.
You know who low key has been getting me like on TikTok? He's like I'm seeing that he's funny as shit. Forget his name. Andrew Schultz. You know what I'm talking about? He was like on Guy Code. He has like a podcast now.
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what else he was on, but he's a funny ass dude. And like his if you watch his TikToks, like he'll do like he does like small little comedy clubs, and his whole shit would just be crowd work, like you were saying, like roasting
Hmm.
the crowd. There was one where he like it was a guy like I don't know if he was straight or whatever, it doesn't matter, but he had like like the satchel, like the side bags that like guys wear now, the crossbody bags. And he called him out for it. He's like, "Bro, what the fuck?" He's like, what is this?
I
What
know
you were?"
exactly who you're talking about. Yeah, nah,
And
I got you.
and
And
he
then
put
he
and he
he
held it. He
put
was
it
like,
on. He was like, "Damn!"
hold up.
Like,
This
wait.
shit, this shit low key a fit. I'm fucking with this.
Yeah, yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about
Cause
now.
I got this
Yeah,
shit to my side.
he's like, "Damn."
But
Now I
yeah.
see why you wear
Yeah.
it.
So he does a lot of shit like that, which is fire. You know who else is good at stand up too that you would appreciate the that white guy that be doing like the college shit or like the
Yeah,
bang like his stand up on TikTok that he records is fire
yeah,
too. He's good.
yeah. He is one of a kind. Just the idea of like again, he's just naturally does his thing, and I
And he's
swear,
an internet person too, and he
yeah,
like and they translate it well.
exactly. And somehow he just keeps it going. He doesn't like let any of the fame like kind of get
Yeah.
to him. He just still just makes content and just does his thing. And you're just like at this point, you just think of him and just like that's like his personality. Like you
Hmm.
don't see anything different. It's just how he is.
And like recently, there's a podcast that I watch called The Basement Yard that he was on as a guest, and like even him being on there, like he's quick,
Mm.
like with shit. Like he would say something, he just like you could tell he practices a lot with I guess with stand up, because it would just be regular conversation, and he would just slip in a good ass like one line or like a joke or some shit. I'm like, damn, like you could tell he works on this shit 24/7. Which I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't think I could ever do that job like
Yeah.
stand up. Like I could like if I worked on it, I could probably do like try it once if I worked up the courage. And I could see myself like if I worked on it, I could see myself doing acting or like anything like that. I could
Yeah,
see
yeah, yeah.
myself getting to that where I could try it. Stand up though is like I don't know. Like that's a level of
Yeah,
public speaking that I don't know if I
because
have
you're kind of because with all the other ones you're saying, like acting or like you're not relying on anybody. With stand up, you're relying on your
on
joke
response.
and yeah, the crowd to kind of laugh. If you don't get that, you can either one or two things, either see it and be like, okay, maybe like
Push through it.
push through it, yeah, and like, okay, I have another joke right here. This one will get him, or just see like shit, like
Yeah, like you just crumble.
I'm fucked.
And if you show fear, they gonna fuck you up.
Exactly,
Cause like
like
hecklers and shit is like legit. Like they'll go at you.
exactly.
And
So
that is like horrifying. Like I like me right now where I currently am, like I've worked up to the point where I can talk in front of people now. I used to not be like that, and I'm still not at that point. Cause if
yeah,
I'm up there and my first joke where I feel like yo, I'm gonna come out strong and I worked on this and I know it's gonna hit and it falls,
yeah. Now you're
I'm
sure.
walking off the stage. Like I can't, like I get so hot and I just
Yeah,
like walk
same.
off.
I'll be like, shit, shit, shit. Okay, well, bye. I'll
So
see
I'm
you
not there
guys.
yet. Like I need to like I would need to work on it some more. Or I would at least need to be around those types of people so I can like work on it or like learn.
Yeah, they'll give you some tips or something as to like how you push through it or whatnot. Yeah, I always laugh at his stuff. He's like, "Yo, what's up, dude? What the fuck, man?"
So yeah. Um, but no, that shit's hard. Could you like do you feel like you would ever be able to do that shit or
No, I don't think so. Like you said, maybe if I had the idea of like constantly practicing and that's just something I wanted to do, maybe because like at that point I'm like, okay, this is what I do. Like, and then if I like had some good responses before, people saying like, "Oh, you're somewhat you're funny or whatever." So I'll be like, "Okay, I can like probably push through it. I can
yeah,
try.
eh,
But there's no way."
every time. And I don't know. There's that's like a specific type of funny. Like you can
Mm.
be funny in other ways and it doesn't necessarily translate. Like Kevin Hart, for example, in the beginning of his career when he was considered offensive, his stand-up was funnier. Like we
Mm.
used to like quote his shit all the time and like find him funny. Now he's like he still has his bits and pieces where he's funny, but it's not as much because he's trying to be safe. He's a way funnier comedic actor.
Oh yeah.
Like his comedic acting is way better, and that's I think that's where he shines more.
Hmm.
But then there's some people who can do it all. Like you could see like Dave Chappelle where he did fucking the Chappelle show, and it's been like still talked about 20 years later.
Mhm.
And his stand up, even though he does like his shit is a mixture of like like shock value and also like a lot of his shit is just telling stories.
Yeah.
Like I could just hear him talk and I'll listen to it all day. Like he has a podcast. You gotta pay for it. I don't pay for it. I wish I did though. I'm waiting for it to be free or something. But like I could just listen to him tell stories all day
Mhm.
because he's just good at it. Cat Williams, he's just like a stand-up person where he could just go up there and kill it. He's just funny and he could come at you easy
Mhm.
because he did Wild 'N Out. He did stand up. He's done like like acting roles where it's just been
Oh, yeah.
iconic. He can voice act. And there's I don't know. Then there's these people who are internet funny, where we talked about what's his name? Like the guy we were just talking about.
Yeah, I
I
can't
forget his
remember his
name,
name.
but he's internet funny, and it just so happened to translate to stand up, and he can act comedically.
Mhm.
Drewski is internet funny. He can walk up and do a stand up show because just I don't know. He just has that thing,
Mhm.
and I don't think I have that. I'd have to
No,
be so
I don't
planned.
have.
I'd have to like plan this shit out for like a year before I even step and feel confident enough, and it still might fall.
Yeah.
But some people can just do that. Some people are just like naturally funny. Like some of our friends that we know, that they
Mhm.
just have that. I don't know if they'd ever try it, but like a Quentin or like Swain, they just have that naturally just the way they act, it just gets laughs.
They just use the environment around them and just stuff they've seen or experienced, and it's like, and it's what's funny is that a lot of those things, like you said, those people that are just naturally like that, those things just naturally click to them. Like they see a situation and it's like, oh, they think of some past
Hmm.
experience or some story, some jokes, and it just automatically like that. Where it's us, we see it, we probably just laugh, but we have no association to like what it
What to
connects to
say,
or
what
what
to
to
say
say.
next.
Like he's just like, oh, that's pretty funny, but that's
Yeah.
about it. Like, other people they connect to other stuff and try to keep it going,
And
which is
you
the point.
and you see the difference when you hear like somebody like a Chris Rock and Eddie Murphy and those type of people talking this like they when they talk to each other. Like I think we've seen like I think it was like him, Chance the Rapper, Chris Rock, like they were like talking about some shit and they
Yeah.
were just all going at each other, but they were
Yeah.
just easily bouncing back and forth like they could go all day.
Yeah. And then it's so crazy to see that because in my head, I'm like, bro, do y'all ever like they feel like y'all in like a competition when y'all tell jokes,
They're always beefing, bro.
Like I'm just in my head thinking, like, do y'all like whenever comedians get together there, y'all just like, all right, who's gonna have the last
They're all
laugh?
yo, I know they're petty. They're always coming at each
That's what
other.
I'm saying.
Because
Like,
Dave Chappelle talks about it, how his son came up to him in one of his specials. He was like, "Can I like? I really want to go to the Kevin Hart show." He actually like, son, he was like, "Dad, can I have like $250 or whatever?" And he was like, "Why?" He's like, "Oh, I wanted to go to Kevin Hart's show, and I really want to go with you." And everybody's like, "Oh, like whatever." But he's just like, in my he's like, "Damn, he's charging $250, like, like it's preposterous."
my head, I just thinking more of like the idea of like when they're in a room together, as far as like
Who
trying
can
to
get the bigger
compete, who can
laugh?
get the bigger laugh or who can like, have the last laugh. That's what I would feel like. It's just like constantly, I'm like, oh, he told a
Yeah,
joke. All right, I need to think of a joke now.
because then like it all comes down to like attention. Like deep when you think about it, like all those comedians, like that's how, or at least they'll say it themselves. Like growing up is like that's how they survived of like being funny.
Mhm.
So like I think they take pride in that, and also it's just like that's their way of like making friends or like finding their wives or just whatever it could be. Like, oh, I used to get bullied, so I started to be funny so they wouldn't bully me, or like I didn't make friends, so I had to be funny, or I
Mhm.
didn't do well in school, so I had to make up for it by being funny. Like,
Yeah.
so I think that carries with them forever. It's just like I gotta be the guy in the
Yeah.
room, and if you got fucking titans like Cat Williams, Dave Chappelle, Eddie Murphy, like Chris Rock, like all in the same room. That shit's like a fucking like that's like NBA finals, like
Basically.
fight to the death, like who's gonna do it.
Shit.
We probably be pissing ourselves if we was in the room
Just
because
facts. If I was like in the corner just sitting there just like
and that shit's probably hella overwhelming because like especially like somebody like who's not there yet to hear those people is like yo like they on a different level like it's just
yeah,
doesn't
it's
make
just back
sense.
to back. It's just natural.
Like you may think you funny until you walk into that room like
Yeah.
they just different, ridiculous. And then I feel like it doesn't get enough respect. Like I genuinely think as though like comedy should be in the same consideration for like movie of the year and all that other shit as like the serious movies.
Mhm.
If it's a good one, not all of them. I'm not saying like put fucking scary movie like as like a Tony Award like whatever.
Hey, wait,
It, but
wait.
some like the idea of comedy in itself is this like they're taking something like you have to be super smart to do comedy. So you have to
Mhm.
like be able to know how people work one. And two, you have to take something super serious and be able and like even if it's super sad and make it so where people can smile about it and make people
No, yeah,
stay.
like I definitely don't think you should give an award to a movie that just kind of just throws anything out there
Yeah.
just to try to get any laugh because you've seen it where you're watching something and you're just like you just probably chuckle, but you're like, that wasn't even funny. Like it was kind of just stupid funny where it was just like they just threw it there just to like fill in a gap or a
Yeah.
space, and then you're just like, oh, haha, like that's about it.
Whatever.
But it's not like actually thought out, planned, actual meaning behind it. It's so
But some people do that, like a Dave Chappelle or a Cat Williams, or they'll it'll be funny, but then they have that tidbit of like, oh, this is real, like this is real advice or like real shit. So like, I don't know, like with politics or like with
mhm.
religion or whatever's going on in the world, you got to be like, even though it's oh like fuck shit fart whatever, like they have to make it like light. It still takes a lot of like talent and thought that I don't think it gets.
No, yeah,
And they just automatically jump to like giving it to some sad ass movie that nobody ever heard of. That
true.
yeah, like just be like I'd never seen this shit in my life, and I don't know. I don't get
I don't know.
it. Comedy.
Comedy,
That's what
man.
we're all here for. Am I right?
I hope so.
But
I hope so.
we're running short on time. So Mark, where can they find you,
You can
buddy?
find me on Instagram at etc Marky Mark, Twitter at Marky Mark. Victor, where can they find you and etc.
Find me on Instagram, Twitter, all the pages, TikTok, which I'm call it. Oh, I forgot to do that. We'll probably do it in a second. Um, but at etc Victor for me, the etc stuff as a whole is at real etc. So at REALETCETERA. The email is real.etc@gmail.com. Find us everywhere. I've been going live on TikTok every day. I forgot to do it on the way over here with you, but we probably do it here or on the way back and talk to the peoples for a little bit. It's been a lot of fun. We hit 2 million on that video. We doubled our count.
Look at that.
We out here. We had 1,300
What
followers.
did we say? We said like 5 mil,
Yeah,
right?
we just not that video in particular, but just
Yeah,
a
yeah.
video to hit 5. But we got
Okay.
2 so far. We at like 1,300 followers, I think, on TikTok.
Nice.
We had like 500 like a week or two ago, and we moving up, and it's the lives are helping a lot with that. So
Nice.
I'm gonna keep those going so we can keep growing. A lot of people have coming over to the Instagram. I don't know if you've been getting those
Yeah,
notifications,
I
following us.
I have about like
A lot of shit. A lot
yes,
of people have been
it's been
following.
going. Yeah, I've been seeing
Um,
it like literally all day.
and I'm gonna force Mark to go live on his own this week once,
I will.
so he can talk to the people a little bit,
I will.
at least for like a half hour or something,
Yeah.
whatever.
It slipped my mind. I forgot like you definitely did send me that, but we were like trying to get everything else figured out with like
Yeah,
the
a
videos and
lot of
stuff. So I
yeah.
just like didn't forgot kind of. But yeah.
So we appreciate everything. Love you guys. See you next week. Bye.